business. Mate, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Stu, and yourself.
Very, very well. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I'm looking forward to the little guy, Nate, our youngest, is off to Tresillian this weekend. So we're going to teach him how to sleep, which is
Nice.
exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm well. Yeah, it's raining. Just so people know, where are you right now? And yeah, where are you with that lovely Bally poster in the background? Where's
I'm working from home today.
Great.
So in my study, I don't know if you can really see out at all, but yeah, it's nothing special. But I guess that's the joy of working for yourself. You can work from home when it's raining.
I guess the commute must be hell, eh?
It is. It is.
And you sort of live in the centre of the city, right?
I do. So just in King's Cross, off William Street. So 10-minute walk to the office. It's a pretty ideal setup.
That's good. Excellent. And yeah, King's Cross is changing a bit, isn't it?
It is. So all those savvy financial planners out there and mortgage brokers, if a client needs a good investment, I'm pretty long on King's Cross and Potts Point.
Yeah, they're talking about. I read somewhere that Potts Point is, if you listen to developers, they've got the view that it's the next Manhattan, the Manhattan of Sydney, and that's the way it's going. And back in my younger days, I used to spend a lot of time going out in the Cross, and I think the only dancing to music that's done right now in the Cross is generally to dance fit classes and that sort of thing. So.
Yes, early in the morning, and there's also some other dancing late at night, but I don't know if that's
still going. Fair enough. Hey, mate, thank you very much for chatting today.
My pleasure.
I know we sat down and chatted, I think it was earlier this year, and I really wanted to sort of have a bit of a chat and share some of what you've achieved in your story with other people, because you've sort of just chewed through things on the program, but also been a bit of a quiet achiever. So I think there's a lot of people that don't actually realize how much you've done in such a space of time. Is that fair?
Yeah, I guess so. But there's so much there, and I've achieved so much. I kind of forget myself what the last 12 months has been like. But I'm sure if I wrote it all down on a bit of paper, I'd even blow myself away. Yeah,
we had that sit down when we did the sort of recut the game plan, and I remember we had that bit about how you're going to reward yourself.
Yeah.
And you kind of looked at me like I hadn't even thought about that, but now that you've put it out there, yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So hopefully worked out what that reward thing is going to be, because I think you nailed it.
And I think that's an important thing to remember as well. To hard work is good, but having that treat at the end of a quarter or something like that's really, really important.
Yeah, it is. Have you decided what yours is going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be overseas holiday. So, where that will be, I don't know. But it's just something. It's just something to think about. When work's busy and it's hard to keep the motivation going. There's always something nice there to trigger in the background to keep pushing ahead.
Totally. So I want to kick things off with Tony Tsay from Zappos. Zappos, the shoe company, generally recognized as being the greatest culture little business out there. And he always asks people in interviews, on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you, Nathan?
I think I'm probably pretty weird, but everyone's weird in their own different way. But that's what's great about being you and all that sort of stuff. On a scale from 1 to 10. Oh God, depends who you talk to. To some people I'm very, very normal, and other people I'm probably a freak show. But on the scale of weirdness, I'm up there.
Nice.
7, 8 maybe.
That's good, man. You hide it well, honestly.
Yeah, but it's just that's me, and I like me, but what's your scale of weirdness?
I don't think I'm there are definitely weirder people, but I'm definitely up in the 8. I'd say.
Yep.
There's my interest in the stuff I remember, and yeah, it's definitely outside of the mainstream. I think most people I speak to, and I ask that question of, how weird are you? Most people come in around about, that there's very few people who are under a 7. So I think I think that's probably the beautiful thing about the online connected world is we've all been able to find our tribe of weirdness, and
right.
Weirdness is the norm, which is good.
That's right. But I'd rather be weird than normal or boring. Boring.
Absolutely. Someone once said to me the other day, I think about a year ago, they said, Stu, you do realize that the very definition of hipster means not mainstream. But if everybody's a hipster, that means mainstream is the new hipster. And I sort of thought, blew my mind for a bit. Let's talk about financial planning. For those of you who maybe don't know a bit of your background, tell us the story. Tell us about what you do, who you serve, and tell us about the business.
Yes. So, my career into financial planning is a little bit different. I, worked in banking for 12 years. 6 years investment banking, corporate finance work, and then the next 6 years in asset management. But my clients on the asset management side were financial planners and private banker guys and stockbrokers, and I'd go out and talk to these different businesses and see all the things that they're achieving and what they're doing, and the more that I visited clients that are doing really, really well, it sort of inspired me to perhaps consider a career change as well. So I made the big jump, from resigning from a pretty good corporate job and setting up my business. So my business, specializes, high net worth, Gen X, Gen Y. I know that Gen X, Gen Y is a bit of a buzzword. Everyone's talking about Gen X and Gen Y, but I set up my business, around my networks. So I'm not catering to a market that's not familiar. I'm, catering to a market which is me, so I understand how it works and what to do. But I did something a little bit different. Rather than just, do the financial planning, also decided to diversify the revenue streams in my business as well. So, financial planning plays a really, really big part, but I went out and started the mortgage broking as well. They're actually really quite complementary with each other. You see a client put together a strategy for an investment property, and build that trust up over the SOA process, and they're more than happy to come on board and become a mortgage broking client as well.
So I want to just touch on a couple of things, because I am so impressed and also insanely jealous, as I've mentioned to you a number of times, about the TED Talk.
Thanks.
Can you give us the quick 1 minute as to how you secure a TED Talk and how you plan for it and how you deliver it and what it meant to you to do it?
Yeah, so, I was...
Sorry, actually, for those who don't know what a TED Talk, we probably should start off by explaining what it is.
I guess TED is sort of a global platform where, speakers have 15 minutes to talk about a topic. And basically the understanding should be for high school students. So, so basically make the most complex of stories, presented in a 15-minute snapshot that anyone can log online and view. So TED sort of started in San Francisco a couple of decades ago, but it started from just watching series of videos to becoming a cult following. Generations today, rather than going and reading a book or a journal in terms of what's financial planning, for example, they'll pop onto YouTube or TED and listen to a quick 15-minute movie about that particular topic. Mm-hmm. But for that opportunity, I was selected out of a group of 30,000. So that was a really big achievement just to be selected out of a pretty, large group of people that have achieved some pretty amazing things. I guess if there's ever one highlight in my life, it would be the TED Talk. It was the most amazing thing that I've ever done, but also the learning experiences from it as well. I only had 6 weeks to put the talk together, so it wasn't as moving as I'd like it to be. But just the every couple of days I had a coach from the actual TED conference that I'd dial in like a webinar over this and they'd teach me what's a TED Talk all about.
Okay.
And this is I love presenting. I love talking. So earlier this month I spoke on a panel in Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne. But the big takeaway from the TED is it's all about the narrative and it's about the story. Even presenting to a client, and this is a skill that I picked up presenting to my clients. It's not just presenting blobs of information. Look at the narrative and look at the story and communicate that way. So it was the biggest takeaway from it.
I love that. It's so good. And actually, Sean was asking what was the topic.
What was the topic? Superannuation and ETFs in Australia, and how it is becoming one of the biggest pools of wealth globally, and how that spirit of mateship in Australia, it's looking after everyone, and because of governments and Keating and all that sort of stuff, just that Aussie way to look after everyone. That's how the evolution of that super system came to Australia.
Yeah, it's I was over in the States last September, as you know, and it was interesting hearing from a lot of the US companies Australia is so on their radar. Like I think depending on who you talk to, we're either somewhere between number 3 and number 6 in total retirement funds. It's incredible, given the number of we've got a fraction of the population of somewhere like the US, but the only thing stopping them from coming in is the legislation. So it's ironic that here we are in a situation where internally businesses are struggling with legislation, but we don't understand that often it's those legislation that's stopping like the big American firms from coming in and just swooping in and going, boom, there it is. So there's an annoyance thing, but there's also a barrier of entry thing, which is a double-edged sword. You know what I mean?
That's right. But there's also one reason why I decided for a career change as well. Being a financial advisor, you can help grow and build your clients' retirement funds, but at the same time, you've got a guaranteed annuity type of business that every year it grows by 10%, and that's looking at the corporate model kind of doesn't work for me anymore. And this is the same for you as well, Stu. It just didn't work for me, and my values changed as well. I wanted to help my clients, and I couldn't really do that as well as I could find in a corporate business.
Yeah, I went to a seminar many years ago called Key Person of Influence, where a guy called Daniel Priestley spoke, wrote a great book. But he put forward a very compelling argument as to why working for a corporate is now less secure than being an entrepreneur. And I totally buy into that.
Very much so.
And I think for a lot of smart people, they look at it and go, I either commit to this, this path and all it entails, or I've got to look outside. And thankfully, a lot of smart people look outside.
Yeah. And the thing is, the way that I like to look at it is, working in a corporate firm, you've got one client, which is your boss.
Yeah.
But when you're in the advisory space, you've got 100, 200 clients.
Yeah.
One of those clients can fire you, but it's not the end of the world. So, and to me, it's much more risky having one client instead of 1 or 200.
You're very you think very logically about this stuff.
But I had to because I sat down, did a cost benefit analysis. In the next 20 years, can I achieve my life goals in a corporate firm? And the answer was no. And
Okay.
I really thought long and hard about, what's good for me, and that's why I made that change.
So let's talk about, you've obviously made a decision at some point. You're going to leave corporate. You obviously decided, right, it's going to be a business. Talk to me about those initial problems frustrations or fears that you were looking to solve that led you to, ultimately, start the business, and ultimately, for us to talk about working together. What were the things you were trying to alleviate to begin with?
Well, I guess the the biggest challenge was I never had run a business before.
Yeah.
Secondly, although I was heavily involved in wealth management, my last job, presenting advice to clients, that was limited. I had all the knowledge of the legislation, how investments work, and super, and all the other bits and pieces there. But I'm going from 0 to 100 pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But my philosophy always was do it right the first time, or just don't bother. And that's why I did reach out to you. I think we first met at one of those innovation conferences.
Yeah, advisor innovation.
Yeah, and I just that was the tipping point for me. How technology, you can create a corporation, have access to all the tools that a corporation does, but be a small, lean business at the exactly same time.
Yeah, I think I remember that talk. I remember that conversation actually really well, because I was just struck by how clear you were on what you wanted.
Yeah.
But a lot of the conversation was around the fact that, I think 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago now, if you wanted to build a corporate website, it was, $3 million, 10 developers, a project team, and probably a manager to look after them for 12 months to implement. Now you can get a website up for $300. You can go and get a program in Eastern Europe, a VA in the Philippines, a social media person in South Africa, and you can outmaneuver larger companies that take time to get it done. So yeah, I remember it very, very clearly.
Yeah.
Cool. So it was about, limited business experience. You didn't want to build a massive business. You wanted to build something small. You needed to go from 0 to 100 really quickly. And although you had all the technical knowledge, the actual how to present advice, anything else that was sort of standing in your way?
So my business was a greenfield business. I had no clients. So I started it from scratch, and I wanted to build it so that it's scalable.
Mm-hmm.
It's lean, and it can grow quickly. So like those systems and processes were really, really important.
Cool.
And having, one of my friends, she's an interior designer, and built offices like Facebook and Google. She's done it especially well. And her feedback to me, what's been the most successful thing for her was to get a business coach. She was able to achieve a whole lot more by having, somebody else's eyes and ears helping her grow her business. And that's why I did it from day one. It's a big investment, for a business that wasn't making any money.
It was.
Initially, but it was certainly the right thing to do.
Excellent. So let's talk about I'd love to understand first steps. So, in other words, what did you do? How did it progress, the things you were doing? And, ultimately we'll get to how did it turn out. But let's talk about the main growth strategies, because obviously you've got no clients. You've got to go to a bunch of clients, replace your revenues. What were the strategies you applied?
I researched my market. So I did, a survey of, 20 target clients, or not, that they were friends and family. Not that I wanted them to come on board, but they were the model They were they fitted the profile of the clients that I wanted to build for my business. So understand what they want and how they wanted it, and kind of build everything around that.
Okay.
That was really critical in terms of understanding my market.
Okay. And just to go deeper on that, what did that look like? Was it a phone call? Was it a survey? Was it a?
So I did an online survey. Some people didn't respond, which is a bit unfortunate. But I've got that here actually, and some of the key takeaways and points that I got for it was, clients. That passive management plays a big part in what their expectations are. That's really a function of fees and making advice really cost effective. A lot of clients don't know how to, legitimately reduce their tax. Like, that's a real pain point for clients, for those doctors and business owners that earn a significant amount of money. Uncertainty breeds inaction. Like, they don't know what to do. There's just a paralysis there to, buy a house or invest that money, and clients would be concerned about, going and buying a property, but 18 months later, the Sydney property market's 20% more expensive. So that's been a big challenge for them. And this is the same, with any, successful client. They just don't have enough time. I want to look after, with my clients, it's not just throwing them an SOA and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm there as their sort of, we're talking about outsourcing, for my business, but my goal is to outsource all their financial affairs to me.
Yeah.
Look at building their wealth, and getting some really awesome results from that.
Yeah. Perfect.
So,
apologies, I had to switch cameras. My monitor just gave a go, so apologies if that was a bit confusing. Are there any other, once you'd researched them, and the one thing I was really impressed with what you did is you had an idea that you were going to go out and sort of be this investment firm, but you realized pretty early on that your initial sort of touch point with most clients was going to be different, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was very flexible and malleable of you, I think.
Yeah, but you probably picked this up when you were over in the US. Lean startup business philosophy, right?
Yeah.
I know it sounds a little bit, MBA school talk, but I'm constantly iterating, and if it doesn't work or it's the wrong thing, I change it, and I change it really quickly. There's no use trying to reinvent the wheel. If it's not going to work or it's the wrong path, I change it, and I change it pretty quickly and adapt, me and my business around that to make sure it works.
This is something I was really impressed by. As I said, you were very logical, structured in your thinking, but you didn't fall in love with your own ideas.
No.
You were.
What may work for me may not work for others. So,
okay.
And just understand what they want, and not what I think that they want.
Any other growth strategies which you put in place?
Well, I guess this is the main thesis of today, right? Is about that outsourcing story.
Yeah.
Why did I do it? There's a number of reasons. One of those was, I can bring staff into my business that have significantly greater years of experience than I do. So I'm bringing specialists into my business from day one.
Yeah.
So importing all that IP and that tacit business knowledge into my business to really grow it pretty quickly. Secondly, I hate admin.
Yeah.
I'm not an admin guy. I'm, and I think this is with a lot of business people and entrepreneurs. I'm the dreamer and the big business ideas, and but doing, you know, admin and all that sort of stuff, that just is not me. That was, you know, the pain and the thought of doing that, you know, was enough for me to outsource it.
Yeah.
But most importantly is, there's two more things. You know, my business grew really quickly, and I couldn't do everything that I wanted to without the extra support.
Yep.
So rather than sitting down and just with what I've done with the outsourcing, I've specialized it into 3 different channels within my business. So mortgage broking is done by a mortgage broking outsourced specialist. You know, all of my SOAs are done by, you know, a power planner. All of my, you know, insurance is done by an insurance specialist. Yep. So, you know, that's their role, to be a specialist in those different areas, and make the business really, really efficient.
How did you find those people? And you don't have to give out the names, because obviously sometimes people do and they get flooded, but how did you go about finding them?
Yeah, but I asked everyone in that group of the coaching group with you, you know, what is, you know, clients will ask their friends, you know, who's a good planner? You know, and it's the same for us, you know, who is a good, you know, power planning service. And, you know, I asked around, I even spoke to their clients. I asked them for, you know, a list of clients that they have, and I phoned them and I asked what are they like? You know, what concerns, would there be a great addition to my business? So I interviewed the outsourcing people.
Love it. And how, look, was that a long-winded process? Did you have to kiss a lot of frogs?
Initially, yes, because did I want my outsourcing based in Australia, or did I want it abroad? And my decision was having it based in Australia. So that kind of, there's lots of outsourcing organisations overseas. Yep. They're limited here in Australia. So I had, you know, that took a bit of time sussing out who is the best for that. But yep. I guess the challenge with that it's more expensive.
Yeah.
You know, but I you know, initially felt comfortable, you know, having them all based here in Australia.
Okay.
And definitely for the financial planning. Now that I'm a little bit more comfortable, I'd be happy to look at overseas for the admin stuff. For the SOA, power planning, you know, definitely Australia based, you know, especially with just, you know, the language nuances with you know, writing, putting together an SOA.
Yeah, got it. So just out of interest, what is the difference in terms of hourly rates between overseas and Australia?
Yes, so with mortgage broking, so basically I interview the client, I select the loan, and, you know, that's an hour and a half that I you know, partner with that client. Mm-hmm. But for $300, I outsource everything else. Like all of the admin, all of, you know, client follow-ups, all of, you know, ordering valuations, you know, liaising with banks. So all of the back office stuff, you know, front offices, you know, this is banker talk, but, you know, front offices, you know, the client facing, you know, the back office is all of the admin stuff. All of that back office stuff I outsource, and for $300, I think that's a pretty competitive way to outsource that admin that I really don't like.
That is really good. So, question from Sean. Nathan, do you spend the time to document your ideal process yourself before delegating to the outsourced providers, or did you instruct them to write processes themselves as they went? How did you
initially I just said, "Hey, do this," which is everything that you taught me, Stuart.
Yeah.
But obviously, if I don't set my expectations, they're not going to meet what I want. So putting a list of my expectations and procedures together is really important. If I didn't do that, it's not going to work. And unfortunately, the first mortgage broking outsource support that I had to let her go after one application. I thought that I was bringing in a really experienced person, but
yeah,
there was one question I didn't ask the outsourcing company. How many years experience did she have? I didn't ask that. Okay. And then I learned that she had 6 months, which kind of, I was paying to teach her, which was it was a big disappointment for me, and I'm still not 100% happy with this particular company. But it's serving its purpose at the moment. But I know that for a set amount of money, I've got access to full-time staff, without the overheads.
I'm going to grab Sabina's question in a second, but I've got 2 questions I really want to put out. How do you deal with the need for everything to be perfect, particularly when you're dealing with outsourced staff? And how do you manage the communication? Is there a structure to it?
Because if there's one thing that really peeves me, it's just like accuracy is super important.
Yep.
Not because I'm anal, but you're dealing with people's money, and the repercussions of a wrong zero or a wrong number is dealing with clients' money.
Yeah.
And it massive big impact. So the outsourcing people might do all the admin, but I'll still check it and I'll tick it off. And if it's not right, I'll send them back and ask them to fix it.
Okay. And has that improved, or is it still an issue?
It has improved, okay. but it's like anyone in a job, issues just keep springing up, and just having, I guess my feedback would be, don't get too comfortable. Keep monitoring it and making sure that it's working.
Yeah.
And then it's right.
There's a sort of model I've always applied, which is you set your expectations really clearly as to what you expect from people.
Yeah.
As a result, if then you're not getting the result, you dive down deeper and you look at the activity. Are they actually doing the work? Are they putting the hours in? And if they're putting the hours in and they're not getting a result, you need to look at their skill set, which sounds like you got to a point where you're like, you know what? This person doesn't actually have the skill set, in which case, sounds like you acted quickly, which was good.
Yeah, well, I guess my philosophy is, I'm a good bloke. I like to give everyone a chance. But a new business, I couldn't do it. I had to move them out as quickly as possible because it just wasn't working. I can't. I guess my goal is to do all the right stuff for my client and grow my business, and that just wasn't working. So I had to move on.
So I've got really clear on, you had a good network to begin with. You've got really clear on what they want. You've then been flexible. You've started delivering what they want. You're getting traction, attracting people in. You've then identified that the next constraint is you. There's only one of you. You've set up some outsourcing relationships. So I'm gonna ask Sabina's question, then come back to another question. Sabina wants to know, how much time did you spend on setting up before you actually got your first client?
Oh, that's hard. Yeah, but the thing is, I dreamt about being an advisor for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I had my moleskin, which I love. I don't know if you know the history behind that kind of book, but whenever I had an idea or something that I think would work in my business, I wrote it down in my diary. It's not one of those diaries with love hearts and a girly diary. It was like a business strategy diary.
Like a Richard Branson style. Here's all the ideas I've ever had diary.
So I thought about it for a very long time, and I knew what I wanted to do. So there was lots of time and effort put into it. But until I met my first client, I just made sure that I had my website set up, and then it was just iterate from there. So, the website was the important thing, and then just, take it as it comes.
Yep. So website, great content, downloadable tool. Now, okay. The question I wanted to ask is, were there any other strategies, projects, steps that you took which were vital to you being able to sort of get things started and get underway?
Goal setting is always important.
Yep.
I know that everyone talks about setting goals, but you've got to do it, and know where you want to go. Like that clarity is really, really important.
So in terms of the pieces of the puzzle, what's important? Is it a narrative about what the business is all about? Is it some some monetary targets, some quantitative targets? What were the key things that helped get you that clarity in goals?
But I had all of those. I know that when we first met, we set a financial goal over 12 months for the financial year.
Yep.
I was a little bit taken back, and it was a pretty big goal. I was a little bit taken back that I kind of got that in 6 months.
You did.
Which was a real, which really kind of blew me away.
I remember you said to me, "Is this doable?" I looked at it and said, "It's challenging, but it's doable if you do the right things in the right order." And you smashed it.
But my observation from that was what I'm doing is working. Just keep doing that. That was those financial goals are really, really, really important. But and the organisation part, the more organised I am, I organise my business, the much more than I can achieve.
So then, organise your week, organise your offer, organise your technology.
Everything. Okay. So if I don't organise my week, it's not going to be as successful week. So that was really, really important. And I think we had a little chat before, and before today, and I haven't organised my week as well as I could have. So I'm, licking my wounds.
Look, everybody goes through periods, I think, of ebb and flow, and I think you've got to have your off periods in order so you can have your on periods. But there does come a point where you got to go, okay, is this becoming a new habit? And that's when I think you switch back on. But downtime's important. Exactly. A couple of questions coming through which I think are relevant. Michael Chu, just new on the program. Welcome, Michael. Yeah. How important is technology in managing the outsourced team or process?
Yeah, but like that's, and this is coming back to the seminar where we first met Stu. Like my whole philosophy for my business is technology. Like that's, and I've been lucky because I started my business from scratch. I could do what I want the way that I wanted to do it without anything holding me back. So that technology aspect is, and I guess this comes back to the last question as well. That technology thing is the most important thing that I've done, and it will continue to go going forward. So some of the technology that I'm using, midwinter for financial planning. I always get, this is for the mortgage side as well. I always get clients I send out as many links as I can and get clients to enter their financial data.
Yeah.
That saves time for me.
Yeah.
I'll have an initial face-to-face with the client, but subsequent to that, we can do webinars or the like as well. And that's, I don't want to, have a meeting late at night, and I won't have meetings late at night or weekend meetings, but I'm happy to, jump online, at 8 o'clock at night or on a Saturday morning, with a coffee, from my office and do that quite easily. So, and clients are really quite receptive to that.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. You've run the business exactly the way you want it. In most cases, not always, but exactly the way you want to work, and people have just fallen in with it.
Yeah, but the thing is, also I want it to be, I've got my office, but I just want to take my office on a laptop and go wherever I want.
Mm.
Early this year, I was down in Melbourne for the tennis, and although it was a holiday, I could just rip out my laptop and have my office on my laptop. All servers and files and all that sort of stuff, accessing it on your laptop or your iPhone. Like it was really important for me.
So let's talk about results. It kicked off in what? You started the business in, was it May?
So I resigned from work in October 2015.
Yeah.
From October to March last year. So this time last year it was doing the diplomas of financial planning and mortgage broking, which kind of was painful. Not because I had to do it, but I was doing one subject in the diploma of financial planning a week. So I just went completely crazy, but I had to do it because I've got to get it to make money.
Yeah.
So that was really important. So March, April, May, June, that was, set up business time. But, from, June last year, from the 1st of July last year, the financial year, that's when it all came together and started to do quite well.
So go into as much or as little detail as you like. Financial results, personal results, business results. What have been the highlights?
Yeah. Personal results, I'm a lot more happy than I thought I would be. I knew I'd be happy helping clients and having my own business, but doing it was infinitely more exciting than I thought it would be, and it made me a lot happier as well. Mm-hmm. That was really, that was a big takeaway for me. The business results, I'm getting a lot of new clients every week and every month. But what played a big part in that was those referral relationships, have those partnerships with other businesses. So, they're happy to refer business to you. Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that I know personally that I was really lucky with, I knew a lot of people and I had lots of networks. Mm-hmm. So that's probably one thing that really, really helped me do what I want pretty quickly. And I know that some people may not have as strong networks, so that's something that you should really look at as building those so you can have those referral relationships.
Yeah. And what kind of partners have you found have been most fruitful for you personally?
Real estate agents, they're quite good. Accountants, but I've limited my referral opportunities, because I'm not a mortgage broker, I'm not a financial planner, I'm both.
Yeah.
So, I can't go to another financial planner or mortgage broker and get leads because, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of limited the scope that I can go out there and get those referral partnerships.
So let's talk future. If someone else is listening to what you're saying, going, "Oh man, I want a piece of this outsource model, or, you know, I'm in a similar situation. I'd love to kind of get a fast, similar sort of start. What are 3 actions would you recommend they emulate based on what you've learned?
Well, build a business strategy, and do it right from day one.
Mm-hmm.
So I you know, when it comes to, and this is probably a thing that, you know, your feedback to me, Stu, is just, you know, with, you know, marketing, collateral, and all that sort of stuff. You said just do it. I really struggled with, you know, I just wanted to make everything good from start, you know, from day one. You know, that was quite important. You know, look at the business coach if that's a thing for you as well.
Yeah.
You know, giving your you know, I brought you into the business because you've got years of experience, and you know, you've partnered with a lot of other advisors as well. I guess, you know, I wanted to get you to help build my business, but, you know, it was bringing you in and sort of sharing a lot of the industry and your experience with me as well, which has been quite important.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I know we've spoken a lot, but I'm really so big on community. Find a group of people who are doing similar sort of things, or at least have a similar sort of focus, because it just makes it a lot easier further down the track. That makes sense.
But, yeah, and today, like, I've, you know, some of my former clients that are, you know, financial advisors and the like as well, I'll phone them up and, you know, ask for advice and support, and like that network and community thing is really, really important, especially if you're going alone as well. You know, if it was just me, I think I'd be very narrow focused. But, you know, 2 heads are always better than one. And that was a big takeaway for me.
Cool. I've noticed my desktop is just frozen a little bit. Am I still coming through loud and clear?
Yep, sure am.
Cool. All right, I'll keep going. Hopefully it'll unfreeze.
Yep.
So were there any resources inside or outside the program which you think were useful?
Yeah, well, when I got my first financial planning lead, I said to you, hey, I don't have a presentation to give them. You know, so I, you know, came to you, and, you know, you gave them that collateral, which was good. You know, I was able to articulate to a client, you know, what the financial planning process is, you know, what we can achieve. I mean, and I still use that today. I don't say that I got it from you. I say that I did it, but the clients love it, and you know, it's bringing your years of experience into my business that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise.
Man, it's been a pleasure. I mean, like, at the end of the day, you've grabbed it and run with it. So it's been
Thank you.
What are you seeing on screen right now? Because just want to make sure that...
Share the experience.
Right. Okay. So we're still structured. Okay. I'm going to keep going. Apologies. I'm frozen this end, but I'm going to keep going as best I can. If I drop out, I'll come back in 2 seconds, but we'll keep going. I guess the final question is, how can people find out more about you? If they wanted to sort of get in contact a little bit more with what you're doing?
Well, I guess my philosophy is there's more than enough clients out there for everyone. You know, I guess financial planning's got a bit of a unsavory word at the moment with all the stuff that's happening with ASIC, and I'm more than happy to share my experience and my thoughts, and you know, it's a learning experience for everyone. So, and you know, I'm not concerned that I'm going to give away my secret sauce. You know, there's you know, 1/3 of Aussies get financial advice. I think there's, you know, a big pie out there that we can all grow together.
I agree, and I think one of the best places to start is to understand why it's only 1/3. Because if we
Yep.
can solve that problem, that's the first step to sort of getting a solution for it. I'm going to pull a few questions. I've got a couple. I don't know whether you've got the Q&A open in front of you, Nathan. But I'll ask, Sabina asked the question, a bit personal.
Okay.
She wanted to know how much your website costs because she thinks it looks good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think all up, it was about 1,500.
Okay.
You know, which is pretty decent. But you know, again, this is I didn't know. I knew what I wanted, but you know, to get where I wanted to, you know, I just reached out to my networks, and one of my mates works for a big ASX listed company who designs all their websites. So he said, "Hey Nathan, look at this. You know, do that, do this, do that, do that." One thing that's really important is look at WordPress. Initially, I set it up on, I don't even know what I'm talking about at the moment, but Ruby on Rails, which is like a website thing.
It's Ruby on Rails is how they built Instagram.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. And you know, I came to, I think a couple of the stuff, you know, your team helped me on there, Stu. You know, especially like the download the paper link and all that sort of stuff. And when I reached out to you for support on that, they said it's not going to work. So I actually had to go back and rebuild my website, just because I guess this is a rookie error. I initially built it, or had someone build it that was more for corporations and not for like a lean business that needs to, you know, go on to Freelancer and build a website.
Yeah, look, Ruby on Rails is great, but I think 27% of the world's websites are built on WordPress. It's an old, very malleable, very useful system, and most people know how to use it, so it just makes the whole thing.
That's right.
I got a question.
Yep.
Got a question from Justin. What are your plans for expansion? Are you going organic, word of mouth referrals, M&A, partnerships with professionals, global, more TED Talks?
I want to buy some clients, but this is a never-ending saga that Stu and I have always spoken about. Yeah. And I did find a book of clients, but you know, I reached out to one of your contacts, Stu, and he sat down and looked at the book of clients, and you know, I was going to press the buy button, but learned that it was riddled with issues, and that pretty decent investment would have been, you know, worth nothing, you know, in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So I definitely want that. And there's one corporate goal that I never had in corporate, and that was, you know, working overseas. But I thought, you know, as a business owner, I can do what I want and create that dream if I want to. And, you know, I'd love the opportunity to, you know, base work here, but, you know, look after expats in Singapore and Hong Kong, and, you know, get over there 2 or 3 times per year.
Yeah.
So kind of getting the corporate dream, but, you know, my own business, and that's what it's all about. This business has been doing stuff that I wanted to do.
Love it, mate. I don't know if there's I have no idea what's going on with my computer today, but it's actually frozen, so that's why we're stuck on the screen. So you've got access to Q&A. Are there any other questions coming up there that you want to have a crack at answering?
You know, whatever. I'm happy for, you know, whatever you want. So I think Michael asked, what do I have to outsource in the future?
Yeah.
So I'd look at doing like PA work. That's probably my next outsource thing. So having 4 silos of speciality, you know, the mortgage broking, the SOA power planning, the insurance, and then, you know, like a virtual assistant to do all the other stuff.
I love it.
that would be the next thing for me. That would have to be Aussie based.
Yeah.
I just don't think abroad would work for me.
Fair enough.
But that's the next thing. But there's, doing this, there's nothing stopping me having, 6 client meetings a day, and then flicking all that stuff off to the other people. I can build up. I'm hoping that the revenue that I'm on at the moment's like a quarter or a third of what I can do, just me. And if I can keep growing the other outsourced support, double and triple what I'm doing at the moment.
Love it.
Without having to hire anybody else.
Well, I think the fact you started out with this philosophy is just going to make it so much easier to continue it. And the fact that the clients you brought on are already sort of buying into that. You've got obviously year 2, year 3, year 4 coming up, but man, it's been a good start.
Thank you.
I can't see any questions coming through. If there's any others you want to add in there, but
Sabina asked a question.
Yes.
I did invest a lot of money. I was lucky that I was able to do it. And I've probably put in about 100K, which is a lot of money. But just there was all these surprise expenses. To become a mortgage broker these days, you need to get a mentor for that. And that was 10 grand a year. You've got websites and dealer group fees and software, marketing collateral, office, like that really did come up. The expenses did pick up really quickly.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of money, but I wouldn't have been able to do it, without it. But this wasn't a spare of a moment thing for me. I knew for a long time that I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I put that money aside. I saved it because that's I planned my transition out of corporate into entrepreneur, and it wasn't just I saved that pot of money there to do what I wanted to.
Which I think sort of underlies that lean startup philosophy, which is don't burn your runway on things like $5 grand on a website, or to be honest, 15 grand on a social media manager, or whatever the plan is. Focus on the things that are going to generate revenue to begin with. I'd even turn around and say, if you think you're getting a really expensive office and that's your first step, then maybe rethink it, because there might be other things that are more relevant.
I think Glenn asked a question. So with the outsourced insurance, my dealer group's Dover, and if anyone ever wants to learn about Dover, please reach out to me. I think they're pretty good. I love their short form SOA. It's a really awesome compliance frameworks. So all of my Dover and this is what's really helped me as well, tele interviewing, then all the legal stuff kind of freaks me out a little bit. If I can outsource that tele underwriting to the insurance company, it's all recorded on the phone. Then a client can't come back to me and say, hey, Nathan said X, said Y. But with the insurance outsourcing, I do pre-assessments with all my clients. So I get them to do the pre-assessments. The outsourcing company, I get them to send that pre-assessment off, and also get them to fill in the tele-interview cheat sheet, with all client information.
Yep.
And what they charge for that is about $50 an hour.
Okay.
Which is pretty decent. And the insurance outsource specialist, that's a contact I got from us as well. from the group.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Dover 30-page SOA, I think is probably an industry leader. Love to, definitely interested in knowing more about that. Hey man, this has been really, really, thank you so much for sharing.
Pleasure.
Had a great year. I'm really keen to see it sort of just take it from strength to strength. Congratulations. Overseas would be awesome.
Yep.
Apologies for the tech glitch. If anybody wants to sort of ask Nathan any questions, we'll include his email with it, so you can drop him a line, but it's nathanide@private-capital.com.au, I believe.
Yep, that's right. Or just, flick me an email on my website.
There you go.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, thanks very much for sharing.
My pleasure, mate.
Enjoy. What do you got planned for the rest of what do you got planned for the weekend?
I got a Guernsey to, write in an SMSF magazine once a quarter.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to do the article this weekend.
Enjoy. Do you like writing?
It's 2,000 words, so it's a lot.
That's chunky.
It is. So it's going to be a fun weekend.
Well, I hope it passes easy. I hope you get sort of a splash of inspiration and it goes out there. But
awesome.
Thanks again for everybody else. Everybody on the program, really looking forward to seeing you on Tuesday for the pit stop. Other than that, looking ahead to next month, we are going to a deliver month. So we're going to shoot out the webinars. We're going to get stuck into some of the how to structure your service offer, how to make sure that what you're delivering. And one of the things I'm really keen to talk to everybody about is transitioning. How you transition clients from an old way or unstructured way or old service offer to a new one. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, thank you very much to Nathan for being part of this. Thanks very much for you for coming along. And as always, have a great weekend, have a great start to the week, and I will catch up with you soon. Thanks again, Nathan.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.